All right. Let's see that everything is syncing. We are ready to go. Welcome, guys. We're streaming live, spanning the globe. Magic Mel here sitting in Javier Costa Blanca, Spain. I'm Magic Mel from Mel's Magic Official, in case you guys don't know me. I'm an artist, as you could see, tarot reader, healer, coach, and public speaker. And I've got someone very, very special on the show today. It's the wonderful multidimensional healer Lana Borealis, who is in North Carolina. So we're literally spanning the globe here. I love it. Morning, Lana. It's morning where you are. It's afternoon where I'm so happy to have you on the show. I've been looking forward to this talk with you. So could you just briefly, for those of us who don't know you so well, could you introduce yourself a little bit and especially talk about your own radical healing journey to do in relation with addiction, because you have a special entry to that one, no? So please.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Mel. It's lovely to be here. So I'm actually in Northern California, which is on the West Coast. North Carolina is on the East.
You got it wrong again. All good, geography.
Yeah, so I consider myself a multidimensional healer, and I use lots of different tools to help people break through their limiting patterns, beliefs. And when I say patterns, I'm talking mental patterns, emotional patterns, energetic patterns, and, shift those patterns into just open, expressive, limitless possibilities rather than, broken and, distorted, which is what happens to all of us down here on planet Earth as we, are born with these like perfect bodies, these perfect little creatures of light. And then, as we age and we're trained into being, a lot less than we are capable of. Yeah, we get a lot of patterns put on us. We take on a lot of patterns ourselves. We inherit a lot of patterns from, ancestors, parents, especially grandparents, the people that are closest to us, but also, we've got patterns we've inherited for generations, and it's like the same, And so I also do a lot of work around entity removal. And when I'm speaking of entities, I'm speaking of demons, ghosts, and miscellaneous miscellaneous dark parasitic entities, beings, and to be absolutely 100% forthright, I believe we are in a spiritual war with like the
I'm so happy you opened that topic. I'm not gonna ask you talk about it. Awesome, I love it. Go on.
And that we have been for thousands upon thousands of years, like farther than we even think humans have been around, in terms of our science.
Which is kind of gradually catching up now, thank goodness. They're catching.
What that?
Science. They're finally kind of making the connections, no? Slowly but surely.
Yes. They are catching up, and they're working obviously with a more limited like scope. So naturally, people who are accessing like spiritual history through a more multidimensional, through a more like just like less rules. We have less rules when we're accessing information through, energetic downloads or whatever. And science has a lot more rules, so I don't judge them or blame them. But yes, they are catching up, and it's really lovely because I feel like at some point we are going to meet. And yeah, so the spiritual warfare. I believe that, planet Earth has been really like oppressed for a very, 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 very long time. And that, our human bodies were designed for us to be these just like super powerful beings of light and creation, where we can access 12 dimensions simultaneously with our consciousness, and that we are aware that we are conscious creators, and that we have just been clamped down, and our energy has been harvested in really bizarre ways. These forces of darkness have been, feeding off us and using us for their own purposes. And for one, it's time that stops. Like, it is game over time. We need to stop this. We need to cut this out right now. And but we didn't really know. So it's not like I don't see this as anybody's fault. I mean, except for like, the forces of darkness, but I mean, they also, I believe they have been disconnected from source, and so they have to get their food and their energy in some way. Not all of them, are quite as like biologically parasitic, and they've chosen that path. Like, some of them were created that way, some of them chose that path and became that. This is what I believe. I don't expect anybody else to believe it, but this is what I believe. And so, now we're coming into this time where, we're in these big, massive cycles, these like galactic cycles, these planetary cycles, and we're coming into more light. We're coming into a space where humans have access to so much more like light and information, and like good information. And by good, I mean like um mostly just light, as opposed to dark, which is dense. So density is
We're,
dark, right?
we're literally exiting Kali Yuga now, which is a whole age of like Iron Age, Age of Darkness, and transitioning into this new age. I mean, this
Exactly.
I find is like specific. You have this specific entry, like the way, there's all kinds of healers and coaches, but I was really fascinated by your specific holistic way of looking at it, and like multidimensional, the way you explain it. How did you even connect to that for yourself in the beginning? I mean, what was your entry point to this, or was it something you always had access to as a child? Because yeah, not everybody works in this way.
Yeah. So I grew up in a very, very small town in Alaska. And I read every single like book of occult literature that all the libraries in my town had. So I've been really like knowing since I was very young that like there's way more than what is, on the surface. And so I've been what I consider like a practitioner of magic since I was very, very young. Of course, I didn't really understand the rules. So I certainly did things that I would not do now. Like put a love spell on an individual. I believe that is an infringement of their free will. And so I would consider that dark magic. So I was accidentally a dark magician, which I think that a lot of people, when they're getting into magic, are accidental dark magicians frequently. I don't
Like
judge
findings
them or
out.
blame them. I just think that it happens because, we don't know the rules of the universe. Nobody gave us the rules. And so, yeah, so that journey from like always sort of knowing that there was more, and that I was a magical being who could create, you know, things in my reality if I did the right things, had the right ingredients, and, you know, and so it's at one point, I was living in Portland, Oregon, and that for those of you in Europe, that is also on the west coast of uh, the United States. So I pretty much hung out a lot on the west coast of the United States. And I got really into shamanic journeying then, And so I was going on these like magical journeys, and I was like setting up my, underworld, there's the 3 levels in the, kind of traditional shamanic journeying kind of template. There's the underworld, the middle world, and the overworld, or whatever it's called. And so I got really into that. And it wasn't very long after that that I was randomly approached. I was working at a farm stand in Portland, and I was randomly approached by this dude, and he was like, hey, are you into light body clearing and DNA activation? And I had already been like getting coached a little bit on some Reiki techniques from a friend. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but yeah, I didn't say I don't know what it is. I was like, yes, absolutely. Something in me was like, oh yeah, that is the ticket. And I had one session and my world was completely turned upside down in like an awesome way. I had been a very heavy drinker, like day drinking all day, every day.
Wow.
I was just really, for many years, I had a very, very intense relationship with alcohol. Um, and I remember, so at that point I was drinking every single day. It was just what I did. It was just part of my life. And I had the session, and then I came out of it, and it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was like, I'm gonna crack a beer, because like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, obviously, that's when we do it. And so I was sitting on my porch, and I cracked a beer, and I took a sip, and I was like, ew. And like, it was like this moment of like, I don't actually really need this. And that was the first time I think that really has ever happened to me. And so just from that moment forward, I realized that this energy healing, this particular modality, was really powerful, and for me at least, and could do great things. So I, from that point, learned it, because I was like, I obviously need to like,
How
learn
was
this.
that
This is
possible?
magical.
Yeah. Wow.
And so
So
yeah,
it
I
feels like you
ended up doing.
attracted these things, from your own interest, early age, and then attracting this healing session, and here you are. Like, is it 10 years later, after your own real journey of really coming out of this addiction not to alcohol?
Well, so that was 12 years ago. And there's a whole journey into the darkness that happens following that,
Mhm.
because um, I had to learn about entities. And so um, I believe I had a soul contract with this man who did the session on, or facilitated the session for me. And then we ended up being a couple, and then eventually got married and went on a very intense journey into darkness. And it wasn't prompted by the energy work. It was prompted by my need to learn about demons, and we learn best by doing.
Going there ourselves. I love that quote you have on your website. It says, it's not about hiding our wounds, but putting our wounds to service, something like that. I feel that's very much related with going on that journey ourselves, so we can show the way back, or be of service in that way, no? Is that how
I
you?
think that Yeah, I think that's almost one, I would say like 90% of the time necessary. I do know healers who are able to hold and heal people when they haven't gone really that far into the darkness, but I feel like that's because they are so light that they are able to hold the light for other people who are in the darkness. But I feel like for most of us, especially, I mean, I'm a Scorpio, like, let's get down in the darkness. you know?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Not a Scorpio, Leo, but I'm right there with you. Like, human design is 3/5. Apparently, I think, can't remember if it's the 3 or the 5 is like experimenter. I need to figure it out myself. I need to just try things out, and okay, this doesn't work. Oh my God, definitely doesn't work. But we gotta find out the hard way sometimes. No.
Yes, absolutely. And like I don't think somebody could have told me, I don't think I could have been taught like with words about the demons, at least at that point in my life. And I try to teach people with words about the demons all the time. So I'm hoping that it can work for other people. But for me, I had to really go through it because I believe I had a karmic contract with this man, and we had some karma we had to work out from a previous life. Um, where anyways, I'm not gonna get into that whole can of worms, but
But how do you recognize, okay, you say entity removal, not in your work, and demons, like how do you actually discern, how can you actually tell if someone is, I don't know what it was the right term is, like taken over or like possessed or has an attachment? How does that manifest exactly?
yeah, okay. So this being a war, a spiritual war, and us being on the upswing, we are coming out of this heaviness. We're coming, like you said, we're coming out of the Kali Yuga. So they've had like really intense control over this planet for a very long time. So as we're coming out and we're getting access to more light and more people are waking up to the reality of our like super powerful consciousness and like what's actually important in life, instead of like working till we die and stuff and things, all
Basically slave
the
culture.
exactly, exactly. And so as we're coming out of this, they're actually like blasting us even harder, because they're trying to like scrabble at anything they've got left. And so it is very rare. I hate to say this, friends. It's very actually rare for people not to have at least a discarnate or some kind of little dark parasite on them. Now, that is not to say that everybody is walking around totally demonically possessed. That is a whole different story. But some of the signs of like a really light entity attachment are hamster wheel thoughts, just like that are not.
No, I'm laughing because I call my ego mind the hamster on the wheels. I definitely had one. What the hell? I gave him pina colada. I keep on saying that. Chill out. My city, chill out. Pina
Well,
colada.
so
Not running the show anymore.
there is a difference between like our natural ego mind thoughts and the hamster wheel of like dark entity thoughts.
Okay.
So your natural ego, like human mind thoughts, will just kind of like blah 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 blah. They're just like blah 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 blah.
Like the narrator
But
and
the
this
ones that
narrator.
are, yeah, so the ones that are fueled by entities, and so what happens is, um, again, like we don't know the rules, so we do things that are like we harm other people or we curse other people, like literally, like you know, f that guy. I wish he would die. That is a curse. Like that's
Putting in
literally a
spell.
curse.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they're spelling that. So, dark entities see that, or, whatever. Or even just like a night of like binge drinking and then feeling guilty can do it. Like, and like oftentimes they'll slip in and will kind of like get out of it. And so they won't be able to attach. But sometimes we'll have enough like yuckiness in there going on that they can attach and they can get in there and they get their little claws in there and they're just like they're sort of like feeding on the energy, the negative energy, and then they're encouraging more. And so that's where this like hamster wheel of negative thoughts that feels very unpleasant is where that's a sign of an entity, right?
Okay.
And like
So like
and so like the
intrusive,
discarnate, yeah,
destructive thoughts that are okay. Yeah.
yeah. And especially like hateful thoughts towards self or others, like really just like those like nasty, like yucky, like hateful thoughts that are repeating and just like can't, just feels like it doesn't feel good, like it doesn't, we don't, at our very beings, we are beings of light, we don't really want to harm each other. It's not what we're not actually into that at all. As much as some people might think they're into it, they're not really into it, not at a soul level, not at a heart level. It's not who we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, you know, there's like more extreme cases of like, you know, obviously any kind of like really extreme self-harm is entity, there's an entity at play in that. And what do I mean, you know, really anything could be self-harm. You know, literally harming oneself physically or putting oneself into unsafe and dangerous situations. You know, even having people around oneself who are, you know, harmful, destructive people is a form of self-harm. You know, putting oneself in those scenarios where there's people who are yucky and harmful to oneself is
Self-sabotage,
not
no?
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, there are signs. And like, and most people, like when I tell them what I do, most people are like, oh, I need you. And but they don't necessarily take me up on it, but they are like, oh, I need you. I'm like, yes, almost everybody does, my friend. But the good news is like, there are things people can do to try to shake them off. Like if they feel they have like, so discarnates are just like little soul fragments of people who when they die they get stuck for one reason or another, and often it's because they died an unpleasant death, or they died a sudden death, or you know, it's like the old things that we all know about, like they died with unfinished business, you
Like
know? But
limbo land, purgatory, astral plane, where they're not quite, is that the one? Is that where they come from?
yeah, I don't know. I would call it just the astral plane. I honestly don't think about that too much. Um, Mostly because I just, you know, they're there, I see them, you know, and if I have permission to do it for someone else, or of course myself, I get them. Um, you know, I send them to onward to the plane. I call it the plane of bliss. You can think of it as heaven, or their next, the airport in the sky.
You say you see them, so you
And
actually
so,
have this ability?
okay, so yeah. It's mostly so I can especially see demons in people's eyes and in their faces and in their behaviors. And if I try not to look at people too psychically because I feel like that's maybe like an invasion of their privacy. So, but I do still just see them just looking at them normally. You know, and there's various different ways that I can see them in their eyes, and in their face. Like I have had friends, because I know it because I've seen it in myself, and I've had friends who I can see when they are, because and they have, you know, they're people specifically with problems with alcohol. When they start drinking, it's like one or two drinks in, I can see the switch
Oh,
where,
wow.
because they're drinking again, having this like really destructive relationship with alcohol that they've created over years. I can see, you know, in their first or second drink, that moment when the demons are like, okay, we've got permission, you
Like the
know, and
shadow
they
taking
can
over?
get in there. Yeah. Yeah. And it looks, they're like, their eyes, there's a darkness that moves in behind their eyes. I mean, you can
Wow.
see it, not just me. Like, if you know what to look for, you can see it. And like the other night, for example, I was pulling out, because I do this sort of like etheric surgery with the darkness, you know, and I was pulling out all this darkness out of someone, and you could see her face change. She had gotten involved with someone who was e- either he himself, I don't think he was an intentional dark magician, but he was a dark magician. I think that he was had so many demons that they were working through him, and so they were like get sucking energy from her through their relationship. And I was pulling these dark things out of her, and her face got like juicier, and it wasn't like it had like gotten physically kind of like drained. And so and she like de-aged like 3 years just in the time, I mean 5 years, I don't know, it was amazing, it was beautiful, and other people that were there saw it. And yeah, I mean it's real.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, you also do soul retrieval. I really feel, going back to linking with the spiritual warfare, that literally our souls are at stake here. I mean, in my own journey, I feel I'm fully online now. Like my soul is here. You can see it in my eyes. Whereas, past versions of me, again, looking at the eyes, that there was no light really there. It's almost like, yeah, the light that's supposed to shine through us from our essence was not there. So this is important work you're doing. I mean, gosh,
Yeah.
it's serious stuff, especially with this kind of society we're in, which is really traumatizing. I mean, talking about keeping us in these low vibrations where easily these entities can attach to us. What guilt, shame, powerlessness, constant state of survival. It's so necessary to come again. And we're so lucky because we did this amazing coaching course last year. The self-regulation, regulating our nervous system, and being able to access these our creator consciousness now, which is above the constant survival, traumatized survival state. This is so huge. All of this work, the healing work, the coming back to ourselves, allowing the soul to come online again. How do I mean, is it how do you find the people you work with? Which actually is a whole topic I want to get into, because you're at the moment offering a beautiful online program now that deals specifically with alcohol addiction. Can you tell us a little bit how it came about? I guess it has to do with your own journey, no, of healing yourself from alcohol addiction. Can you tell us a little bit more? How
Yeah. So you're asking how I how I decided to do this program?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. So, you know, this long and winding road to get here. So I had sort of stopped drinking for a while, and then I moved to California, and this was about 7 years ago, and I got with my current partner, and I had gone through this like dark journey to learn about the demons, and so I wasn't really doing the energy work on myself um as much as I had been in the past, and I was kind of taking a break from that. And my partner, who I'm with now, is really into like the motorcycle scene, like the biker scene here. And so we were going to a lot of bars and going to a lot of parties. And so I was drinking a lot, again, which I hadn't done in years. And it wasn't really, and I was also coming out of this like dark place where I was heavily traumatized by, that the man I was with, and then also the demons. I mean, the demons just like they like really beat me down till I was like very small. I was like very broken. And it
So the
was
intrusive
like,
thoughts mentioned earlier, the self-destructive thoughts or self-loathing in those demons.
oh, I wouldn't say that. I did have an entity for a while coming out of that it took me a while. I actually had to go see someone else because it was like one of those where I was like, I think I have this and I can't get rid of it myself. And I had to go see another like entity expert so that she could get it. Like we all need help, like getting the
Yeah.
like the washing the mud and the crap from like this traumatizing situation here on earth. We all need help with that. So yeah, I had been drinking a lot, and um I had a really awful experience where I was sexually assaulted, and because I was drunk I put myself in a dangerous situation, and I blacked out, and all the things, and it was so awful. It was like that was the thing that was like, okay, this is actually a problem again. I need to gather all my resources and make it stop. And my partner also was like, I'm not going to be with you if you're going to do this to yourself. Like, I can't. And so I joined a support group for drug and alcohol, and I started doing all this energy work on myself again. And I was doing a lot of like self-care and self-love practices, like, you know, and so, and I got a therapist and like all the things, you know, I gathered all these various tools from all these various places and I put them all together. And it was, so I had in my past tried to quit drinking, I don't, you know, at least 4 or 5, who knows, probably more times. And every time it lasted about a month at the most. You know, even when I drove my car off a cliff, it lasted about a month.
Wow.
Yeah. And I tried AA, you know, I tried, I mean, I guess that's as far as I go. I didn't do like an inpatient program or anything like that, but I feel it probably wouldn't have lasted that long because it was like, and looking back on it, I realized, so I realized that like I had so many patterns that it was almost impossible for me to break out of them. And as I was in this support group with these other women who, it was just a women's support group for drug and alcohol, and I was looking at these beautiful women that were trying to, you know, get clean. Most of them were actually in it for heavy drugs. And they were trying to get clean so that they could like get their children back, and like having these like really intense um experiences, and they had these really good reasons, you know, I need to get my children back, I need to get clean, you know, and they still couldn't do it, you know. And I just like, after I really, it took me a couple years of just really working on just resting and healing and just really taking the best possible care, and having a team of people, you know, help me, and having the support of my partner was essential. And also having a safe home, that was essential. Like, um, before I came out of it and realized, like, I was like, wow, okay, there are people out there trying to quit drinking who are not getting energetic support. You know, they're not getting emotional support. They're not getting group support. They're just like trying to quit drugs and alcohol, but it's like maybe they're
Nothing in
in
place.
yeah,
Nothing
like maybe
in
they're in
place
a
to
program,
support.
maybe they're going to AA. It's
Yeah.
like, I did not personally find AA empowering. I know some people do, but I do not feel like, I do not like the phrase I am an alcoholic. First of all, first and foremost, I do not believe I have a disease. I believe I have a very, you know, a, an energetic, emotional, biological problem. Yes. But like, and like, I'm not a person that can drink casually. Even now, you know, this is like 6.5 years later. I just can't. And so that's just a reality for me. If I have one drink, it starts, you know, and I can't stop. I do take tinctures and drink kombucha and things like that. So it's like, I'm not, you know, but like, I feel that like I can even do that because like I have cleared those energetic pathways, you know. I have done the emotional work to clear the emotional patterns. I've done the, you know, the work that we've learned where we're shifting the mental patterns, you know? And so, and this is actually like how I do my one-on-one sessions with people is I work on a, you know, we go into emotions, we get into the energy, and we get into the mental stuff. And sometimes we even do physical stuff, shake it off.
Oh, connected, yes.
And so a few years ago, um, me and my girlfriends, we've got this group where we sort of co-create our realities together, and we support each other, and we come together and do magic together. You might call it a coven.
I was gonna say, that sounds like fun.
And that's fun. Anytime you're in California, you can come.
It's right around the corner. Flying carpet is right here. Oh my boom. No, but definitely.
So yeah, I mean, and you know, it was through all of our sort of supporting each other and like co-creating our realities together that it like I started being like, you know, okay, I'm looking around my life, not necessarily them, but beyond that, and I'm seeing a lot of friends who have these problems, and I'm like, somebody needs to do something. You know, I'm watching these people with these really struggling with alcohol, and they're like, yeah, but it's like, you know, I'm like, somebody needs to help them. And I'm like, wait a minute, I am somebody.
I think it's also, I mean, the thing with alcohol, it's so insidious. you know, and so normalized that I don't know, everybody's kind of putting a blanket cover. Oh, it's okay. It's, you know, it's not really an issue. Anyway, but yeah, it's so insidious in that sense, so easily accessible, no? And the effects,
Yes,
I
I
mean,
agree entirely.
I also, you know, I like the way how you just are, how you're so open about it, and there's no judgment or shame attached to it. I just feel like, you know, it's the way we've normalized dealing with our emotions also, which is a whole thing we got to learn to actually process our emotions and not, you know, the first instant grab for something to self-soothe in that sense, no, which is totally, I feel totally valid. That's why I have no, I'm so compassionate, understanding anyone, like any drug, you know, cigarettes, whatever, because who has the tools to calm ourselves? I mean, thankfully now it's becoming more and more, you know, we're learning, we're passing them on to so many practitioners, but it's not something we've been necessarily taught. So I feel it's only understandable that we reach out for whatever is accessible without maybe knowing the long-term effects, but just in the moment soothing our own pain, our own distress. Isn't that normal in that sense, a normal response even or reaction? But I call it like the looping arrow. No, you have the initial pain, whatever caused you the traumatizing event, and then you soothe yourself, and this so-called soothing mechanism becomes this looping arrow that hits you again, and the pain just accumulates until you can't really, you know, where's the free will in trying to get out of that loop that keeps you in it? And then you've got an entity attached that even drives you further down the destructive path. I mean, it's crazy to get out of that. But yeah, I feel it's just to totally unshame and not put any judgment on that is really important. And to use it also as a, I
So
mean, like you do, as a journey to come back to the light.
yeah, and I really very firmly believe that like shame and judgment and guilt are really powerful tools of the darkness. Like they literally use those things to really just get in there
Set up.
and like,
Yeah.
you know, so if when people are coming to me with their problems, I am absolutely just like, okay, like I try to be, or not try, I really feel like I just have it really down where I'm just like not judging them. I don't blame them even. Like it's not even really anybody's fault. Like we're in a messy situation. We're like people are like being murdered all over the place around us on planet Earth. Like just the most horrific, awful things are happening to people all over the place. Like I don't blame anybody for like doing heroin or drinking or like if you're a human being, you are sensitive and you can feel everything that's going on, whether or not you consciously know you can, you know, we're just, you know, it's just it's horrible.
Good thing we're working on getting out of this. But yeah, so what is this the program you're offering at the moment? It's an online program, no? How are you going about that? Are you again integrating all of these different aspects now? Like you said, group support, you're working with the mental, emotional body. Can you tell us a little bit what it is that you're
Yeah,
offering?
I'm really excited. I have been, you know, what's the word? I've been
Incubating?
not gestating, incubating.
Yeah, just stating.
I've been incubating this for years and I was like, when's it gonna happen? When's it gonna happen? And then, you know, the integrative um change worker coach thing came up and that was like, this is the final piece. I get it now. I had to wait for that so that I could have that, so that I would have the multiple levels, not just energetic and emotional and whatever. So the whole program is on Circle app. So it's kind of like a social network, but a private, you have your own private spaces. So it's kind of like Facebook-ish, but there's places to set up the coursework. So we're all in this beautiful app together. So there is the like social aspect where we can, you know, post messages on the wall and encourage each other. So people are already on there. It starts on this Sunday. Um, and that's March of 2025. before. But, you know, this program is going to be, there's going to be rolling entry ongoing forever, as far as I know. I mean, who knows how long forever is, but, and so we're going to have, I'm thinking weekly. I was going to do every other week, but I've already got so many people. I need to do it weekly now. So we're going to do weekly support group meetings. We're going to do, those will be obviously live in the app and on Zoom. And then we'll also have every other week, like Q&A, sort of like, you know, where they can bring either their personal, you know, problems or issues or whatever to me, or they, you know, if they have questions about the course material, we'll call it a course. And so every week, we're also going to have, I just drop like a bunch of videos and PDFs for like healing techniques and, you know, nuggets of wisdom and, you know, assignments. I'm giving them assignments. They don't, and like the thing is like people can do this program at their own pace. They don't have to like keep up with us every week. Like, be, you know, there's going to be some like, you know, border collies who are like, there's going to be some like bulldogs who are like, you know, I'm just going to like hang
And
out.
how do I know, let's say
Check
I'm a
out.
potential, like the potential people who are suitable for this course, how would I know, for example, if this is something for me, or if there's somebody here who, you know, would be interested? What is the, what do you call it? You know what I mean, no? How do I know if this the
Yeah,
course
yeah,
is
yeah.
for me?
Criteria.
Criteria, there you go.
Well, okay, so I believe this program is for everyone. But there is going to be, I am doing an emphasis on alcohol, or not alcohol, addiction and substance abuse. So yes, alcohol and drugs, but, or also, I mean, any addiction, like you can have a phone addiction, for crying out loud, you know?
Join.
You, Mel, could have a phone addiction.
I'm not in
So,
denial.
like, yes.
I'm not in denial.
You don't seem to be in denial, actually. So yeah, there is a, so, but the reason, I mean, obviously the reason why the focus is on that is because that's where my personal experience runs. And so that's where I'm pulling, you know, from. That is where I'm pulling my wisdom. However, everybody has limiting energetic patterns and reverse firing programs that are holding them back from like being their like greatest, most radiant self. I mean, I do work on myself all the time. I still go to other healers, you know, because we all need that help. And so like I would say to somebody out there in the world who's watching this video, who's thinking, is that program for me? And I would say, well, what do you think? Look at me. Do you think that I would be a fun person to hang out with for 13 weeks, you know, through videos and chatting and, you know, because if you think that, yeah, maybe I'd be like a lovely person to help you on whatever kind of journey you're on, to help guide you and connect you with other people who are on a healing journey and who want to be, you know, the biggest, brightest version of themselves that they could possibly be, then I would say, yeah, join us. You know, right now, I don't know if I'm going to forever do this into the future. But because this is the first round, I'm doing like first tier entry into the program for free. So,
Amazing.
you know, yeah,
Guys,
like if you
anyone
want, you know,
listening? This is absolutely live. Not only
yeah,
us live, but the program is live. It's starting on Sunday, no?
it's starting on Sunday. And so like maybe by the, if somebody sees this video in 3 months, let's say they see it in July of this year, 2024, the first tier might not be free. It might be $20 or something just to get like, you know, who knows? But for right now, in this moment, yeah, it's free. And so, yeah, I think that anybody who feels like they resonate with what I'm bringing, whether they have an addiction or substance abuse problem or not, should just show up. Like, let's do this. Like, let's get this show on the road. You know,
Love it.
we got light we've got to bring into this planet and these people on the planet.
Yeah.
We've got like purposes and missions to fulfill here, people. We've got like beauty
Joy
and
to
joy to
experience.
create together.
You
Yeah,
know?
like let's do it.
Bring the joy back. You know, sometimes some people they kind of question me like, am I for real or am I faking this? I'm like, guys, not even I in my own journey, I was so disconnected from myself. I didn't even know like joy was an abstract term. I'm like, the hell is joy? Until I really reached that, I'm like, oh my God, I was so unwell in my entire life. You know, it's just I was completely
Yeah.
normalized in that sense. I didn't really question everything. I mean, I did feel pain and everything, but now I'm like, no, guys, this is the normal. We've been living in a dysfunctional
Yeah.
society that's been normalizing our trauma and our disconnection from ourself, from source, from our joy, from whew. So I'm totally there with you in terms of just normalizing the magic also, the magical beings that we truly are. You know, it's insane. And
Yeah.
I love how every one of us has magic, not the way your specific tool set with in combination of your own personal experience, mine, and I always encourage people also that, you know, everyone, each one of us is a keynote signature element in the universe. It's like a grandiose symphony. We're all a beautiful instrument, you know, and we can't compare like the bass with the flute or whatever, but you got to play your song and you can only really access that keynote when you vibrate in harmony with your essence. You know, it's really deep stuff. So the way even we've been so disconnected from our value and self-worth. I mean, super basic stuff, you know, this kind of self-hatred and self-loathing or thinking that I have no value, that I'm, you know, I had to come out of this. It was so insidious. And it's only once you're out of that that I was able to recognize how dysfunctional and toxic and sick that state of being was. Not to again judge, but just, you know, there's other ways of being. And again, this is such a beautiful, I mean, I see it as an amazing time to be alive because it is possible. Like everything literally we see played out, we see all of this contrast, the good, bad, the ugly, it's all coming to the surface within us and outside so we can really look and make new choices and know that there are, you know, there are people out there who have different tools. And I like the way you said, you know, people who resonate with you, because I really feel it's a matter of trying out and seeing, okay, what fits me personally. There's no like, you have to, the linear way of 1, 2, 3, 4. You got to try things out and find the people who resonate with you, you know, who can help you for as long as they can, and then maybe someone else. But trusting ourselves, no, that we can feel or know, okay, this I sense this is useful for me. Like this can help me is really important also to connect with our self-trust again here.
Yes.
My little ramble.
100%. I loved it. It was great. Oh, I should add on for those of you who are thinking about the program, we are going to do magics together.
Ooh.
So, you know, and that like everything else in the program is optional. You don't have to do everything, but like it'll be really cool if you did.
Can you say a little bit more about that? What do you mean exactly?
Oh, yeah. So, like we're starting on Sunday, we're going to do an opening ceremony where we do, you know, call the corners and you know, get into that magical zone and kind of co-create our container together, you know. And I'm not really like super into like rules around magic, except basically like don't harm other people. don't don't try to don't try to interfere with another's free will. But other than that, like I'm pretty like light and easy. Like I think that, you know, if we can do magic very easily by just like making the container the sacred space and then putting our intentions in that. And so, you know, along the way we're going to have other little things. And you know, I've been working with Mercury a lot lately. Like I've got a fun little altar set up for Mercury. And so like I'm also going to talk about, you know, setting up altars to various deities and how that can be done. There is a deity of I forget her name. It's like Sophrazini or something. There is a Greek goddess of sobriety. And so I'm going to introduce her to the group and see if people want to work with her, you
Oh, I
know,
love it.
and yeah, temperance. She's the Greek goddess of temperance. And so we're gonna do some magic, you know.
Not only, you know, can you heal your addiction by literally becoming a magician in your
Yeah.
program? I love it. Or reconnecting. It's not like
Well,
even just reconnecting with that, no?
I think that's actually part of it. I think that healing and owning your power as a magic being is like, it's all part of it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. For me, this whole healing thing has been like reclaiming, you know, reclaiming your fragmented parts from different timelines, different lifetimes, different dimensions, really being present now, right here, right now, being the powerful being now. Apparently, this lifetime is also amazing because it's conducive now for us to do this healing work, to step back into our real sovereignty and power in this very moment, but at the same time affecting the past and our ancestry and future because it's all happening now. I find it super fascinating.
It's very cool.
Sounds amazing, Lana. How can we find out more about your program? How can we get in touch with you? Where is the info? Yes. We'll post your
The easy
website.
place,
Yeah.
yeah, the easy place to send people is to energymagiclove.com. And that will tell you basically all the stuff I've said here, and maybe a little bit more about what's going to go down in the program. And then there are 3 tiers. First tier is totally free. Second tier is $77. And that includes one-on-one session with me per month, which I mean, I think also everybody should get, but it's it's okay if you don't. And then the third tier, I forget how much it is, but it is 2 sessions per month with me. And so yeah, it's super easy and it's all there. So I hope to see all you beautiful people. Maybe not all of you. I don't know if I could handle like hundreds, but
Who knows? We're expanding, we're expanding. No, that sounds amazing. And again, no, the first tier now is for free, but then you will put a price. So guys, literally March is abundance month. This is the 1st of March. I heard lots of good news about this month, and you really seem to putting it out there, your gift and yeah, what you're offering. It's really beautiful. I love it, Lana.
yeah, it feels really good.
We'll share your website. You can also find Lana on Instagram. Same handle now, Energy Magic Love. I know you have a YouTube channel also. I already subscribed. And yeah, how about, do you have any, going back to the broader spectrum, how do you see your work tie in with the bigger movement now or bigger transition we're all going through? I really feel like you are in your life's purpose. No, you found your purpose through this kind of service.
Yeah. Well, the way I
Super
see it,
open-ended question.
for every like one person who I help like turn on a little bit more of their light, you know, help just clear away some of the muck, so that they can just, for every one of those people that I touch and help them bring their light to the world. Oh, I raised my hand in Zoom. I feel like that exponentially will just grow and grow. You know, in the very beginning of my career as an energy healer, most of the people who came to me were became energy healers themselves in some way. So that was even more was like, but I mean, even just like a person who's not actively working as a healer, if they're blasting more light out, just walking around in the world, that's gonna it's gonna shake off some of the dirt off of those other people, everybody that they come in contact with. Everywhere they go into the world, they're bringing more light into those spaces. And it's just like, it's cumulative. It's just going to get, more beautiful, more bright, it's just amazing. Like,
It's
when I
already
think
done.
about it,
Like
it
this
blows my
wave,
mind.
it's already, we're already like doing it. I always try and, tell
Oh,
people, hey guys, it's already happening, focus on the good stuff, on what we're, The light is so much more powerful. And you know, when we talk about, oh, ascension, hey, it's happening through your body. Like you healing is the ascension process. It's in your own body because as long as you're traumatized,
Yes.
your energy is suppressed. You cannot access the higher chakras, you cannot access the full stream, and you cannot literally open to let the light in, to anchor the light. So ascension is not happening out there, it's happening through us, through every one of us, no, within us. So I love that metaphor of the exponential effect that each one of us have. It's really important.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you said that about the body and ascension, that it's happening with us. I feel like that is so true. You know, people are like, oh, the fifth dimension, we're going to the fifth. It's like, okay, but like, yeah, we're going to the fifth dimension in ourselves. We're getting fourth dimension, we're getting access to that heart.
Exactly.
Like that's the fourth dimension. Our truth. Fifth you want to get to the fifth dimension, start learning ways to, you know, heal your trauma, to break through to the heart chakra and the throat chakra, and you're going there. Like that's how you do it.
The kingdom of heaven lies within. It is a dimension,
It
yeah.
does. It does.
I mean, you know, that
Yeah.
notion of that it's our body. I don't I used to be really, you know, not really take care of my body. Now I'm like, oh my God, this is the vehicle. You know, it's not like we're taking off to some other planet. It's happening through us, through the body ascension. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a fascinating time. And again, I really try and put all my focus on the positive stuff and what we can create, you know, taking back our power with action in the here and now and uplifting each other. It was Age of Aquarius also, no? Collaboration, uplifting each other, connecting with our gifts, sharing that gift. Again, when you heal also, now you're able to access your gifts and make this more of an abundant place. That we're not only, well, in the past and depleting the outer resources, it started with ourselves, completely depleted. I always say the human capital, we are the capital, you know, the human resources. Every one of us is so full of beautiful resources, but we've disconnected from that. So each one of us doing this healing work and getting the help that resonates with you is so important. And it's actually, looking back, a really beautiful journey, you know, like you said, no, using your wound, your personal specific woundedness and turning that around, bringing that light in that darkness and like alchemizing that. It's quite a heroic journey. So positive, and I love it that people like you are out there doing this beautiful work with your beautiful offerings, Lana.
Thank you.
So it was awesome to have you on here. Again, guys, we're going to post, this is a live, we're going to post all of Lana's info in the description box. And yeah, no, again, this her program, Magic Keys to Freedom, no, it's called
Yeah.
Magic Keys to
Magic
Freedom.
Keys to
It's
Freedom.
rocking live right this weekend. So right here, right now is where your power lies. Make that choice for yourself. And the beautiful thing is now you're not doing it alone. You have Lana as a beautiful guide and a whole community who's working together, which is another thing. No, we don't have to do the work alone. Like it's our
In fact, we
choice to
shouldn't.
start, but we don't have
Like
to do it alone.
it's not, yeah, no, that's not the best path. We are made to be communal creatures. We are made to be in a tribe, a community. It's like totally necessary. And yes, you can do lots of stuff by yourself. I'm not putting that down at all. But like we need other human beings. We need them.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I'm not doing this on my own. I don't expect you to. Like, let's do
yeah,
this together.
absolutely. I love it. Okay, so everyone resonating with Lana, go contact her now. On her program. I might go on that program for my digital addiction.
You should. We would love to have you.
More magic together. So thank you to everyone who's been watching. We love you guys. This is going to be posted on my YouTube channel, Mel's Magic Official. Subscribe. I also have a Patreon tribe on there called Magic Mel, the Love Rebels, because love, yes, it's cheesy, but it is the ultimate rebellion these days. And I mean love in the big sense, starting with self-love. We got to learn to self-love again and then overflow from that filled cup that we fill with our own source, connection to source first. Anyway, I'm going off the rails. But you've got Lana here, you've got Magic Mel, and so many beautiful people. Find the people who resonate with you. If you want to connect with us, we've got the info here. We are here for you. And we want you to reconnect with your own magic. That's the goal. Playtime with your own magic, co-creator magic. Thank you, Lana, for coming on the show. And I'm so excited for your program. I wish you all the best. And yeah, we'll. Awesome.
Oh, thank you so much, Mel, and all Mel's people out there.
Bye, guys. Also streaming live on Instagram. It's been a feat. Awesome. Okay, guys. Bye. Bye, bye, bye. Gonna stop this one first. How do you do this one? We're still. Okay. See you in a bit, Lana. Thanks for coming on the show. We love you.